denounced your family and your religion. You became a spy you became a spy for Israel for 10 years. I want to understand how this all happened. So when you were 10 years old, your father was creating Hamas. And how did he start indoctrinating you? And you also have five, you're the oldest, but how many brothers and sisters?
5 brothers and 3 sisters.
5 brothers and 3 sisters. Were they all being indoctrinated, or just you because you were the oldest at that point?
Well, all of us were influenced to a certain degree, but of course, being the oldest son, I had the lion's share. And since childhood, you can say I had a problem with the society, that the gap start widening. There were things about the cultures that I did not like. Most importantly, I did not like the rigid discipline within our family and the religious class where I belonged. And I have to say, it's very, very tough. It wasn't an easy childhood. And I like it because it taught me discipline. And it taught me a lot about self-control and fasting at very young age. During the summer of the Middle East, sometimes was up to 16 hours, no water, no food. And I was only still 5, 6 years old. This is when I started that, my entire life. And
Wow.
would do this like an entire month. And if I don't make it to the mosque, or I misbehave, or I say something that was not respectful to the other Muslims, etc., or violate any Islamic rule, I would be beaten up by the family, or by the family friends, or by the imam at the mosque, or by the teacher, by the principal, by the even strangers on the street. And I had always to run for my life, like literally. Every day I had to confront monsters, and there was no day without being injured or shedding blood because of this type of fights and struggle for just my freedom in things that I was trying very hard to meet with their expectations. Not, I was not lazy, but I didn't know better. I was just a child.
Like, what kind of thing would get you in trouble? Give me an example.
Very stupid, silly stuff about religious rules that I did not understand. So, like, take for example, if I caused trouble at the mosque, if people were praying, and I would just play around, cause any noise that now is disturbing the prayer.
Right.
And I was very good at that. The punishment was just unbelievable. And my mother agreed to it. My father was in prison at that time, and the person who wanted to punish me was one of his best friends and co-founder of Hamas as well. His name is Fadl Hamdan, and he is actually a disciple of Abdullah Azzam, who inspired Bin Laden. This is what they had in common with them. But anyway, this guy was very, very tough. So anyway, he invited me to his house in the evening. And my mother said, Sheikh Fadl wants to see you. Would you come with me? I was like, yes, for sure. And I'm going, just the innocent child. And we go after the evening prayer to his house. To my surprise, I sit in the living area, which his entire family was asked to leave, and he tied me up to a post. And I was like, is this kind of joke? He did not express any anger. Then I see him reach to the heater's cable, electric cable, this thick. And he took it from the wall and the heater, and he came from behind it, just like he was as calm. I thought the whole thing was just basically trying to scare me.
Right.
Until he started whipping me with the electric cable. This is when I lost my breath. I literally lost my breath, my capacity to breathe. And I was trying to inhale, and I couldn't. And he's not understanding that I could not breathe. And he just kept going until I blacked out. And my mother is watching the whole thing. So this was an early memory of violence of that culture.
And how old were you at that time?
Probably 8 or 9 years old. The marks on my back stayed for weeks, if not months. So this is the early discipline of the way in that society. And of course, when you push a child to the corner to this degree, you don't expect from them, that they are going to just praise the society afterwards. It was very violent. That was not the first time or the last time where I got beaten up many, many times in that society. And that's a very common thing, by the way. And there even I can go a lot farther with traumas that they are devastating. But I'm not here, to say that I'm a victim of that culture.
No, but I want to know like what happens at that age, because
Yeah.
I don't think people know.
They don't. Nobody knows. Nobody knows outside of me how it felt
Right.
to be a child in that brutal culture. So when you see the brutality and the savages taking over, annihilating everything in their way, this is not coincidental. It's a rape culture. This is another dimension of it, which I was a victim of it as well.
You were?
Of course. And I talked about it. To everyone's surprise, no one ever asked me who it was. No one cared. Even though I was a victim of the most devastating crime ever. And nobody cared to come and see, it's like, who was it? Or try to go get justice for it. So we're talking about a rape culture, a very violent culture. Then...
Wait, who was it?
It was basically someone, I don't even remember their name. It was a member of a family that my father entrusted. I go with them for the olive harvest. So my father wasn't there. And before the dark came, his family trusted him to take me home because we were deep in the mountains. And they did not want the dark to come. It would be dangerous for me to just travel. And they wanted me simply to go back to my family. So they entrusted me with one of their sons, and what happened, happened. I ran for my life. I was very small. I think I wasn't probably like six and a half, no more than 7. I don't even remember how I was. It was around like the 86, 87. So this is what was the beginning of the chaos. And of course, I try not to mention this event. It's known to public. It's not a secret. It's not the first time I reveal it. But I try not to talk about it because many people try to tie my position, my moral stand, where I stand today, to the trauma of my childhood as a rape victim. I don't like this thing because it's not only a personal. It's not only what happened to me as a child. It's the entire system that inspired or inspires a rape culture. The violence, the sexual repression, the way the society treats women, which basically the unnatural way of living. It's contradicting evolution. It's contradicting the human nature by the name of religion, by the name of ideology, and it's all hypocrisy. And when we have a natural system like this that contradicts the human nature, and where lovemaking becomes a taboo, becomes a forbidding, then we have all type of social problems. And this is why it is a rape culture. So for me, I always ask myself, why did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? And why is it happening to many children in the Middle East? And why? And you can ask those who know, who have the statistics, and it's only intelligence services who have the actual numbers, or let's say a clear vision or view of what's happening to children in the Arab world. And the rest, they don't care, and they don't have actually access, because many of the rape victims, they don't talk about their trauma, because it's very shameful. Even today, as an adult, I'm a very strong man, and immediately somebody would say, "Oh, he's fucked up," because it's many rape victims, they don't want to say,
Right.
because you become the victim. And now everybody wonders, like, okay, how bad, how devastating was that trauma to this individual? And most people prefer to stay silent because they are ashamed, or because they're afraid of the consequences. Who's going to marry them? Who's going to accept them? Who's going to befriend them? So this is another struggle that rape victims have to go with, not only on a physical, spiritual, and emotional level, especially when they are very young. So for me, that opened many questions about reality, about